Hello, everybody. Welcome to another time of family life with Mama Rita. I hope your week was very restful, and I hope last week you enjoyed your time with me. Last week we had in the studio Reverend and Lady Deacon Derek Amano. Shall we give them a shout? I can hear you. Shall we give them a shout? Reverend Derek and Mama Della, I salute you. Thank you for coming to the studio with me last week. You were fantastic. It was something else. And what did we do last week? We looked at how long courtship must be. How long courtship must be. And the interval between the knocking, the engagement, and the wedding. We concluded by saying the traditional and customary marriage, though legal, gives room for polygamy. And I hope somebody heard me. The traditional and customary marriage, though legal, gives room for polygamy. As a church, and as the Bible requires, we require you to move a step higher by starting with God at the altar. And I hope somebody heard me. I didn't say at the beach. I didn't say in some garden with some dwarfs. I said start with God at the altar through blessing. Blessing, in other words, blessing your marriage. Or through wedding. I'm mentioning all the names. So through blessing, through wedding, or the civic marriage, or ordinance, also called Cap 127. So blessing, when we say blessing, blessing is just the less expensive form of wedding, where you don't have all the ping pong and all the flower girls and all the maid of honor and bridesmaids and little bride and lemon green and bottle green and sunshine gold and pink and what coffee, bent coffee. No. So when we say blessing, we are talking about a small wedding, just you and your bride, 2 witnesses from each side, and you are good to go. You still sign the marriage certificate. So in other words, blessing is still legal. And then you have the wedding where you can wear your white gown and whatever you want to wear. And then the civic marriage. Civic marriage, the one in the church is civic, the one at the court is civic. But now I'm talking about civic church and then ordinance, also called Cap 127. What are we doing today? Ooh, I can't wait. Today we are looking at when courtship is not going to end in marriage. When courtship is not going to end in marriage, what do you do? Many people don't end their courtship well spiritually. You need to end it well. You need to end it well. Why? So you can move on with your life. You need to end it well so you can move on with your life. Courtship or relationships which doesn't end in marriage are many all over the world. Yours will not be the first, neither will yours be the last. I want you to know that every day courtship and relationships are breaking. So if for any reason your relationship must break, your courtship must break, you won't be the first, neither would you be the last. And the Bible gives affirmation to that. In Proverbs chapter 19, verse 21. Proverbs 19:21. There are many plans in a man's heart. There are many plans in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the Lord's counsel will stand. There are many plans in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the Lord's counsel that will stand. So yes, you had good plans for the man. You had good plans for the woman. You had very good plans for the relationship. You really wanted the relationship to end up in marriage. But unfortunately, things didn't work out. Is somebody listening to me? Things didn't work out very well, so you had to break up. You had the plan, but God had a better plan for the two of you. It's not every courtship, listen to me, it's not every courtship that ends in marriage. And it's not every marriage that travels 30 years, 50 years. This year, my parents celebrated 60 years in marriage. But I thought you were going to clap for my parents. And I want to salute them. But for COVID-19, I would have celebrated them big time with a big party, with some big dinner, or some big lunch. I believe that there are blessings as for what is following us today. We may never know. So I want to congratulate my parents for celebrating 60 years in marriage. But I want you to know, if yours doesn't travel that far, please don't worry. God might have other plans and other intentions for you. Today, we are talking about how to end courtship. But before then, I want us to watch a short drama or a short sketch or a sketch. So, how to end courtship or how to end your relationship. This is our topic for today. But before I start, I will break a bit and then we will watch a short drama or a sketch.
So you must be Daniel.
Oh, yes, sir.
And Sandra?
Yes, sir.
So what brings you here?
We are at the courtship stage of our relationship. And together, we've been doing amazing things.
Like?
Every Friday, we organize orphanage outreach. And every Tuesday, we organize prison outreach.
Interesting.
Yes, it is, sir. And it's been promising so far. And we believe our marriage will be heaven on earth. Yes, sir.
So tell me then, what's the problem?
No problem, sir.
That's great.
Oh, great, sir.
Sir, the only problem.
Last week, sir. Last week, while we went to the orphanage, the orphans were crying profusely. They love us so much, they don't want us to leave. We're even planning to adopt one of them, right?
Daniel.
Yes, sir.
Sandra? I'll be very, very frank with you both. I appreciate people who realize that they have issues and are willing to address those issues, much more than people who just keep the issues to themselves and put on smiley faces of deceit. Now, if you don't have a problem, then why for God's sake are you here?
Sir, we are here to say hi.
Hi? To who?
To you.
Me? Come on. You could have done that on the phone.
Sir, we called, you didn't pick.
Oh. Okay, Daniel.
Sir.
Sorry, I'm afraid you will have to excuse us for a minute or so. I need to address your fiancé. Now, Sandra, talk to me. What is the problem?
Counselor, it's been 9 years.
9 years? 9 years of what?
9 years he proposed to me. I'm not getting younger. My parents are confused. My friends have turned me into a laughing stock.
Come on, 9 years? Hey.
To make matters worse, he proposed to me in front of the church. Everyone witnessed it and were congratulating. I thought that was the end of my single life. Oh, I didn't know it was the beginning of the end. When he knew he was not ready to marry me, why then did he propose? What is the purpose of this useless ring?
Okay. Why do you think he's unwilling to settle down?
He keeps saying God's time is the best. I am the firstborn of my parents. My younger siblings are all married. But I'm here, following one brother using an outdated wristwatch to judge God's timing. I am tired of this relationship. If he is not ready to marry me, then let him say it to my face and I'll go.
Daniel,
Sir.
why have you not taken this sister to the altar yet?
Sir. God's time is the
Please
best.
keep that your useless wristwatch to yourself. 9 years? What are you trying to tell me?
Okay, just Sandra, okay?
Counselor, if the day he proposed to me was the day they gave birth to a baby, by now that baby will be writing junior WAEC.
Now, son,
Sir.
come out clear to me. What exactly is the problem?
Sir, the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of...
Don't tell me what the Bible says. Tell me what your own problem is.
Sir, Kosovo.
That's it. Now you're talking.
The country is not favorable. You can't go into marriage anyhow. And my job is not paying well. If I get married now, who will take care of my children?
I kind of see your point.
I thought you would condemn me if I open up.
Why should I? I see you have good intentions.
Sir, one more thing, sir. I'm thinking of traveling out of this country
Really? That's a good one.
so that I can work, have enough money, further my education, and pursue my masters.
So when will the wedding come in all this?
Not now, sir. Maybe in 3 years. By then, I will have finished my masters, get a job in a good company, and travel back to Nigeria to do a quick wedding and take her abroad with me.
Now, if you add 3 more years to what you have now, that makes 12 years. 12 years of courtship.
Like I said, sir, God's time is the best.
Uncle, you are not using God's time. So think well before you add 3 more years. I am not going on a roller coaster with you.
Now you talked about traveling out. Where do you plan to travel to?
America, sir.
Where exactly in America?
Sir, I'm thinking of Texas, sir.
You are thinking?
Texas is a good place, and I heard there are a lot of Nigerians there.
Do you have families in Texas?
No, sir.
Do you have friends in Texas?
No, sir.
Who then do you have in Texas?
Sir, I have God.
Oh. I am weak.
Why, sir?
Your answer, it caught me unawares. I wasn't expecting it.
The reason why I'm taking my time is to secure a future for my children and my wife.
The reason you are actually taking your time is because you are blind and you have no direction. Sandra, My advice to you is very simple. A man who doesn't know where he is going cannot lead. It's not too late to hop out of this relationship.
Sir, please don't give her that advice. I want to marry her. I love you.
Those who know their God will be strong, and they shall do exploits. You don't know the God you claim to serve, and that's why you are weak. You have given up on faith and given in into fear. You have kicked God out of the vehicle of your life, and you have only taken over yourself. No need using your wisdom to search for greener pastures here and there. The only green pasture I understand is in the word of God. David says, he makes me to lie down in green pastures. That's a man who knows his God. Your own duty is to trust in the Lord with all your heart, never to lean onto your own understanding. Listen, the wisdom and understanding of man will fail, but it is only the counsel of God that stands forever.
Thank you, sir. Now I know where I'm wrong.
If really God is at the foundation of this relationship, Daniel, then give him the chance. Let him build you.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this sketch and this drama, and somebody is listening, and a lady out there is listening. You've been courting for 5 years, 9 years, from the day you had your proposal. If you had had a baby, the baby would be writing junior high examination. I have already told you some of the things that must inform you that this relationship is going nowhere. What is the topic that we discussed? Yes, anybody? What is the topic we discussed? The topic you must look out for. Yes, the red flags. The red flags. This is enough of a red flag. After you have checked all the red flags and you see that the relationship is going nowhere, then it calls for a breakup. Like the film we have just watched, 9 years of courtship, and you are not thinking about your partner and the advancement in age, but you are thinking about master's degree. You are thinking about going to America, about going to a place where there are a lot of Nigerians, yet you don't know any of them. It is selfishness. When two people are coming together, it's spiritually important you think about each other's welfare. The guys must know that the ladies have a body clock. These days, the menopausal stage of the women starts very early. Is she growing? And is there pressure from family and friends? For example, among sisters, or among 3 sisters, your partner is the first, yet the second born is married with children, the third born is married with children, yet you have been courting for 3, 4, 5, 7, 9. The other time, I think we had how many years? Was it 15 years we had of courtship? 13 years. This is actually to ridicule her. So what are the things you must look out for to end a relationship? Number 1, the red flags. Number 1, the red flags. Number 2, selfishness in a relationship. Red flag, selfishness in a relationship. Time wasters. People thinking about themselves alone in the relationship and not thinking about the emotional stress that the other is going through. You are not thinking about the ridicule you are putting her through. Like in the sketch we watched, you made the proposal before church, or you made the proposal before family members, or you made the proposal before friends, and for 9 years you ridicule her. It is very bad. So after you check for red flags and for time wasters, did you hear me? After you check out for red flags and you check out for time wasters, like the one we saw in the sketch, you go through the steps of breaking up. I want us to talk about something before I go through the steps of breaking up. What are some of the things people do to their ex? What are some of the things? You want to break up, you have broken up. Yet at the end of breaking up, you are not free because of your ex. What are some of the things? Number 1, they try to turn friends of their ex against them. They turn the friends, they try to turn the friends of their ex against them, against the ex. A man can turn the friend of the lady against the lady. And the lady can also turn the friends of the lady against the gentleman. Is somebody listening to me? Number 2, I want you to know that your ex is not supposed to be your enemy. So this is what we are discussing. What do the ex do? Number 1, they turn against you, your friends against you. Number 2, people try to justification. People try to justify that the breakup was not their fault and that it was the fault of their ex. You don't need to do that. People try to justify that the breakup was not their fault, but the fault of their ex. When people come to you asking you, why did you break up? You don't need to blame your ex. Just tell them the relationship didn't work out. Or we found out that it wasn't the will of God for us. You don't need to make your matter sweet. Adding ginger, garlic, and lemon, the one you must drink during COVID-19. You add it to your matter so that your matter will be sweet. And add honey to it. So if you don't know what to take during COVID-19, I'm telling you, lemon, ginger, and garlic. You blend everything together. A teaspoon a day. If you have the symptoms, a teaspoon 2-3 times a day. Number three. What are some of the things people do to their ex? Number 3. In trying to start another relationship, they go for a relationship that will hurt their ex. They tell themselves, I will show her. So what do? They go for someone among their very close friends. They go for people among their very close friends. Or they go for family members just to hurt them. So they try to start another relationship with friends of their ex and family members of their ex just to hurt them. Number 4, what do? Some people try to start a relationship right after the breakup. Right after the breakup. Hours after the breakup. Days after the breakup. They start a new relationship. This is just to spite their ex. That after all, I'm still marketable. I still dare. So if you didn't want me, I want you to know that somebody wants me. So hours after, 2 days after, 1 week after, they enter into a new relationship. They enter into a new relationship when they haven't worked on themselves. They enter into a new relationship when they haven't dealt with their past. They enter into a new relationship when they haven't healed enough. My darling, God will not be in that relationship. The Holy Ghost will not be in that relationship. It means that you make the same mistake or the same mistakes that you did with your ex. So you don't need to prove a point that you didn't want me, somebody wants me. So hours after, few days after, you enter into a next relationship. What do people do to their ex? Some people go to the extent of not even inviting their ex for their new weddings or for their weddings. Hey, am I dialing some numbers? Am I dialing some numbers? So some people go to the extent of not even inviting their ex when they are finally getting married. My darling, you don't need to be enemies. Invite your ex, unless, of course, your current partner is not in agreement or comfortable with you inviting your ex. If your current partner is not in agreement, then you don't have to invite your ex. Otherwise, trust me, there's nothing wrong with it. On normal grounds as Christians, you can break with an ex and not become enemies. I hope somebody out there is listening to me. I used to have an ex, and I've shared the story several times. Because I did it the right way, God also honored me, and honored me big time. My name is Mrs. You didn't hear me. My name is Mrs. Rita Crunchy Ankara. My ex is also Ankara. But you know what happened? I tried that when we broke up, I wasn't hostile to him. The reason why we broke up was the fact that I had become born again. And at the time, he wasn't ready to fall in love with my Jesus. And I felt it wasn't right. It wasn't healthy enough for me to be born again and continue a relationship with somebody I had gone out with and wasn't ready to follow my Jesus. So we broke up. Then I got married. Somebody didn't hear me. I said, then I got married. I won't go into the one I got married to. But then I got married. But when I got married, I just said to myself, it didn't work out. Maybe that's not God's perfect will for me. So why should we be enemies? Anytime I saw him, we said hello. We chatted a bit. I made sure that in all my discussions with him, I got my husband involved. Sometimes he will come and visit me. I will make sure that my husband was there. We all sat down and we chatted. Once a while, anytime he needed something from me, like money for rent or money for anything, he would ask me, I would tell him, if you can gather boldness and come to my husband, we will give it to you. And he will gather boldness, come to my husband, and we will give it to him. I tried to win him to the Lord. We were never enemies. Today, we have Royal House Chapel. Today, my ex, you didn't hear me. The siblings of my ex are in Royal House Chapel. Family reunion. Is somebody listening to me? You don't need to be enemies. Nobody knows tomorrow. You don't know who will help you tomorrow. You don't know who will give your daughter or your son a job tomorrow. You don't know who would admit your son or your daughter to SSS tomorrow. So there's no point becoming enemies when you are believers. Is somebody listening to me? If we had become enemies today, his siblings will not be members of Royal House Chapel. And I still have a very good relationship with his family members, and it is fine. Are we okay? So as much as you can, if for any reason you and your ex will have to be friends or still friends, which I'm suggesting, the only thing you do is that you get your partner involved. You don't go into a restaurant, you don't go to a restaurant to eat with your ex without your partner knowing about it. You don't go into a business meeting with your ex and eat after then with your ex without your partner knowing about it. If you are married, You don't invite your ex into your home when your partner is not there. So once you are doing these things, you are good to go. What some people also do, and I want you to listen carefully. Some people cannot take the pain and the hurt from their hearts. The pain they went through with their ex, they can never take it out of their hearts. As long as you keep the pain and the bitterness and unforgiveness, I want you to know that you will hinder your blessings. Number 2, it can prevent you from going to heaven. So your ex is free. Your ex has moved on. Meanwhile, you are going through so much pain. You are going through so much hurt. You are going through so much bitterness. You are going through unforgiveness. I'm telling you, my darling, if you continue like this, you might be sick. They said, a wounded heart who can bear? So says the Bible. So you can be sick. You can prevent your blessings from flowing into your life. And then number 3, you can go to hell. Me, I don't want to go to hell. I want to go to heaven. So I forgave my ex even before we broke up. Somebody didn't hear me. How do you end your courtship or your relationship? How do you end your courtship or your relationship? You made your intentions known first to each other, and then to your parents, then your pastors and your counselors, and your close friends. You made your relationship known first to each other, then to your pastors, to your parents, and then your counselors. When you have to break up, you have to get them involved. You go back to the same chain. You have to give them 1, 2, or 3 reasons why you have to call off the relationship. In effect, you tell them the red flags are too many and you are backing off. I hope somebody is listening. Before you entered into the relationship, you made your intentions known to yourself, to your pastors, to your counselors, to your parents, siblings, and to friends. So if you want to break up, you go through the same chain. But then, you can't go back to all the chain. I want you to listen carefully. You can't go back to all the chain. People will stop you somewhere and discourage you along the way. So what do? The first people you talk to are your pastors. The first people you talk to are your pastors. Your pastors and your counselors. Let them know the difficulties and the challenges you are going through with a relationship. And I'm trusting even that before you get to the point where you must end the relationship, you would have actually started counseling. Your counselors would have actually been part of the relationship. So they would have known the difficulties and the problems you are going through in the relationship. So first, you get your pastors involved and you get your counselors involved. You seek their approval and their blessings. from the pastors and the counselors. Their approval and and then their blessing. The second stage, or the second group, the next group, is your parents. You inform them. You inform your parents and also seek their blessings for the breakup. Once you talk to your pastors, you talk to your counselors, and you talk to your parents, I want you to know that all others, you don't need their approval and you don't need their blessings. What you do is that you tell your friends and siblings, you just inform them. I hope you get it. So for your pastors, your parents, you need their approval, you need their blessings. For friends and siblings, because you got them involved in the beginning, you get them involved again. But this time, you don't need their permission, you don't need their approval, you don't need their blessings. All you do is to inform them. You tell them that the relationship didn't work. So you have broken off the relationship. I hope you get it. Then what you do is the pastors or the counselors with prayer will separate you and break the relationship. The pastors or the pastor or the counselors will separate you with prayer and break off the relationship. And this is why at this time, if you haven't gone through fornication, I hope somebody is listening to me. If you haven't gone through fornication, you don't feel guilty whatsoever. You started with your pastors, you end up with your pastors. And I want you to know that the fact that you walk out of the courtship doesn't mean you have failed. You haven't failed in any way. On the contrary, you have done well, and the courtship has been successful because you allowed God to direct you. I hope somebody listening to me. In some other time, I will be teaching how to handle life after a divorce. In another time, in future, I will talk about how to handle life after divorce, vis-a-vis the children, who must take custody of the children, how do you share the children, weekends, holidays, whatever. We'll talk about it in the future. In conclusion, Matthew chapter 5 verse 30, and when I'm done with the conclusion, we'll have a commercial break, and then we will come back to the studio with my seasoned counselors for the question time. In conclusion, the Bible says in Matthew chapter 5 verse 30, and if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is more profitable for you that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off. My darling, It is better to go to heaven than to be in a marriage that is not helping you. That continually in the marriage there are exchange of words. Continually in the marriage there are fights. Continually in the marriage you are throwing saucepans against each other. Continually in the marriage you are not talking to each other. It is better the right at the beginning, during the courtship stage, during the teething stage, you cut off that hand. Let that lady go. Let that gentleman go. It is better for you to do that than to enter into a relationship where you are not happy, and then the relationship or the marriage will end up in divorce anyway. God bless you. We'll have a break, and then we will come back to the studio with my seasoned counselors.
Bible Land, showing this and every Sunday at 3 p.m. and repeats on Wednesdays at 4 p.m.
You hear wars and rumors of war. See that you are not troubled. Why? Because Jesus is still the rock. See that you are not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Tell somebody, you allow pressure to come upon you. Hey, I'm just about to prove to you that death is a spirit that chases people. So whether you are under the bed or you are in the darkness, death will reach you anywhere. But there is a place where death does not reach. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High God shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord is my refuge and is my fortress, the Lord in whom I trust. There is a fortress that you hide, that death cannot come here, not under your bed. Clap your hands and say, devil, get out of my house. Get out of my house. Do not be troubled, because the end has not yet come. This is Jesus Christ speaking. Number 2, you write an examination on obedience. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and was heading towards the place God had asked him. Many of you always want to see before you believe. Anybody who wishes to see before he believes or she believes, that person is failing the examination and the test of faith and the test of obedience. Because faith is the substance of things hoped for. It is the evidence of things not seen. So when you are talking about faith, faith is that you are believing God despite what you cannot see. The moment you want to see before you believe, you are knocked out of the ring of faith. You are not in faith anymore. Faith is to obey in spite or despite the consequences. That's faith. Take your only son, go to one of the mountains, go sacrifice him. And the guy was moving early in the morning.
Welcome back. I hope you have enjoyed so far. We are looking at how to end a relationship. If a relationship is not working, if there are too many red flags, or you think that God didn't put you together, or you feel in your spirit that this relationship will not take you far. So you want to end the relationship. We are looking at how and the steps you go through in ending the relationship. With me in the counselors, you have met them, is Reverend Agri. Reverend Agri, what's your first name?
John.
Aha, hey. Reverend John Atta Agri. He was with me about how many weeks ago? About a month ago. He was with me in the studio. Reverend Agri is head of our counseling department, premarital counseling, and then marriage counseling department, and also head of our men's ministry, Reverend John Atta Agri. That's so well when it comes to marriage. Please clap very well. And also with me is a young man who is doing so well with our marriage department, Minister Fabio Wilson. Minister Fabio Wilson was with me how many weeks ago? About 3 weeks ago. Minister Fabio Wilson was with me 3 weeks ago, and people loved his ministry. After then, people are worrying me, especially the young ones, that they want him to be their marriage counselor. So I want to welcome you, sirs.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please, we are ready for our question time. Reverend Agri and the Minister Fabio Wilson will be here to help me with the questions. And then with me,
Yes.
is the naughty one.
All right. Thank you.
We really enjoy him.
Thank you so much, Mommy. A lot of messages on Facebook, and they are saying you're looking splendid as usual.
Thank you.
And they are grateful so much for your presentation tonight. Well, Chivapo Emmanuel is my name, and I know all my Rosa young men and women are watching across the nation. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Has been awesome with Mama Rita Family Life series. Get a conversation ongoing with a hashtag Family Life on all social media handles, and we are going to have an awesome time. We go straight to our first question. Well, like we mentioned last week, if you want to come in for sponsorship, we have a lot of people who have called in. We are making arrangements. You are going to start seeing their ads and their strolling going on. So if you want to join us, please come in, partner this program, sponsor this program, advertise your products, and reach several millions of people across the nation and the West African region. As a matter of fact, we are all over the world now, and you'll be hearing some of our messages. The first one is coming from Sierra Leone.
We want to say a very big thank you to the Apostle General. Last week, he saw us sit down and looked at the way we were sitting down and realized that we were not very comfortable.
Our number one sponsor.
So he decided that he wanted. Please clap for my husband.
AG1.
Please clap for my boyfriend.
AG1.
My husband for 34 years. And my boyfriend for, I think, 37 years.
Yeah. And 7 months.
The father of my 4 children. And my 5th one, my adopted daughter, sister, Asabia. So, father of my 5 children. And then grandfather of my 5 grandchildren. Please.
Father of your uncountable spiritual children.
Thank you so much, Apostle General. Thank you for sponsoring me. And I think you need to also start sponsoring my clothes. I need more clothes for the show. And then I also want to say a big thank you to Chris in New Jersey, who said he wants to sponsor my hair week after week. So you are not only sponsoring, you can sponsor my hair, you can sponsor my makeup,
your jewelry,
you can sponsor my jewelry, you can sponsor my nails, you can sponsor my shoes. I mean, decide what you want to sponsor. So thank you so much.
God richly bless you, everyone who has been supporting us, especially our number one sponsor, the Apostle General. Mommy, Apostle General sponsoring your chairs. So, first question is coming from Abraham in Sierra Leone, Freetown. He says, Mama, I'm in love with this wonderful lady, But I found out recently that she's been talking to her ex so much. Well, I've tried, but I have a lot of issues with that. This is generating into problem after problem. What must I do to stop this and save the relationship? Because I'm thinking of backing out. Please help me.
Thank
Abraham,
you.
Sierra Leone.
Thank you, Abraham from Sierra Leone. I will make Minister Fabio take up that question, our first question.
Thank you very much, Mami. I think you touched on this in your presentation. It is really not a good thing when you still have, contact with your ex, especially when your present or current boyfriend objects to. So in your submission, you said something even about the wedding, invitation. If they object, then you don't. But there is nothing wrong having a good relationship with your ex. They are not supposed to be your enemy. But if it's going to an extent where it's affecting your current relationship, then you need to take a second look at that situation. So if your current lady is doing that, you need to have a conversation and let her know how it's affecting, your relationship. This is to the gentleman. So have a discussion with the lady. Let her know how it is affecting the relationship. And, if she's still insisting on doing that, then you may need to bring in, your counselor or pastor to have a discussion with her.
Thank you. Reverend Agri, do you have anything to add to it?
I think he said it, and you've also, during your teachings, you've made mention of red flags and all this. But what I want to add here is the lady should just be mindful of what she's up to, what she wants. If you have been in a relationship that didn't work out well for you, and for that reason you are no more in that relationship, and a new one is coming, you only have to be wise and take a decision.
Yeah.
Am I interested in getting into a new relationship that will result into a marriage? You must decide. Because good man will like to share a woman with another man. So if from the onset these things are happening, certainly the lady ought to, be wise and decide. Is she willing to, go with this second one? Is she ready? If you are ready, then make sure you get the old one away and be free for the second one, so that you can plan well and perhaps move into courtship and steady yourselves and get into marriage.
Thank you so much. So, if you heard me well, number one, the gentleman who asked the question, if it's possible for your partner's ex to be your friend too, it is okay. But if you don't, you think that the relationship is going beyond just mere friendship I spoke about, it's going more, then you would have to have a discussion with your partner and then see if she can minimize, because we said they can't be enemies.
Yeah.
So she should be able to minimize her relationship. And for the ladies out there, if your partner, your current partner, is not comfortable for any reason, is not comfortable with your relationship with your ex, it means that you need to cut it. There's a limit to what you can do and then how far you can go with your ex. We know certain ladies and then certain gentlemen, they didn't plan it, they didn't rehearse it. It's not something that they sat down and they said to themselves, I was going to have an affair with my ex. But some way, somehow, one thing led to another, and another thing led to another, another thing led to another, and by the time they realized, they were in bed with their ex. So please, before you get very close with your ex, get your partner involved. If your partner is not comfortable with your ex, I plead with you, please cut the relationship with your ex.
Mama, I think a quick one. I'm not too sure if the gentleman stated it. Whether he's made his intentions clear to the lady.
He didn't say that.
He didn't say that.
He actually said he had raised concerns.
He's raised concerns.
But as he proposed, as he, indicated
that
to the
wasn't
lady
so
that
clear.
I think it has to be looked at because if he's also showing signs of uncertainty,
That's
and
right.
the lady is not too sure whether
That's
he's
right.
coming or going.
That's right.
I don't
That's
think
right.
the lady will.
That's right.
You know.
And like the sketch we watched, you've been
Courting
courting for 9 years.
Are you building a skyscraper?
We don't know if you are building a skyscraper. And the lady, like Reverend Agro is saying, is not too sure. So she wants to use one eye to look into two bottles. I mean, so make sure that your intentions are very clear. If you've courted for too long, move to the second stage by getting married. And then maybe it will relax her, and then she won't be too stressful.
Mommy, to add to that, I had a similar situation with one of my counselors, and in their case, the lady happened to be, I would say, a customer of this gentleman.
Okay.
So they had to go into some business relationship.
Wow.
And I think you mentioned that in such a situation, you should let your spouse know
That's right.
the dealings that
That's
you are
right.
having.
That's
You
right.
cannot cut her off if she's a source of revenue for him
That's right.
to, put away his business. But if you're going to have a meeting, if you're going to have, especially because they have a history,
That's
you
right.
have to let,
That's right.
your partner know about your movement.
And if it's possible, you invite your
Invite-
partner
yeah,
into the meeting
right.
Yeah.
and into the discussion.
It appears people are focusing so much on the exes. This one says, hello, mommy.
Wow.
Thanks so much for today. But my ex never broke up with me. However, I found out 2 weeks to his wedding, which he had earlier denied. And somebody alerted me before I found out the truth. With this, mommy, I don't think we can ever be friends. Well, I think this is a comment that just came through. This one says...
So let me just...
You want to touch on it, all right?
I'm not saying be friends, but don't be enemies. Number 2, don't harbor the pain, the bitterness, and anger in you. So you don't need to be friends, but don't be enemies. Don't be bitter, don't be hurt. Forgive him, let him go. For all you know, God took him out of your life because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, he will give you a bigger headache. So he's just taking you out of his life. So when you see him, hello, I mean, be civil about it, just hello. Don't let him, you don't need to keep his number, you don't need to be calling him and all that. But forgive him for your own health's sake. Number 2, for your blessing's sake. Number 3, for you going to heaven. So he doesn't need to be your friend. He doesn't need to be your close friend. But forgive him, let him go his way. Is there anything?
I think one other thing you should look at is if you don't allow the hurt to go, you may harbor it, and in your next relationship,
That's right.
anytime you see any sign of
That's
this,
right.
you start, being too
That's right.
investigating, and that will also lead to that relationship not working. So you have to, forgive, let go. Like Mommy said, you don't have to be friends, but, don't be enemies.
All right. Thank you. So learn to forgive. Otherwise, before you realize, you become an investigative journalist in your next relationship. Good evening, Mommy. I am Kwame. Please, I'm 30 years and have prayed to God to help me not to sleep with any lady before I get married. My first 2 relationships broke up because I refused to have sex with them. I'm in my 3rd relationship now. She is 28 years and a virgin as well. She keeps saying her friends are influencing her and pushing her that it is nice, it will help her know who I really am, and she wants us to try it. What should I do? I don't want to lose her because she is a type of lady I've been praying all these years for. Please help me, Mommy. Kwame.
Thank you, Kwame. Reverend Agri will take over this question.
Okay, thank you, Mommy. I don't think adhering to the ladies, advice or pressure will strengthen his holiness or purity. I mean, you've been righteous all these years. If what he says is the right thing, you've been able to stand well as a Christian. 2 ladies have come your way, and because of this, they had to leave. If that is the truth that he's, indicating, we want to encourage him and let the lady know that God first, and God works with, would-be couples who maintains holiness. Mommy has taken a lot of time talking about premarital sex, the consequences, and how that you don't make room for the Holy Spirit to operate if you, engage in such things. And then also the consequences and even the mistrust that it will bring when you finally marry. So you don't need to just, get into that. Fornication will not help you anyway. So, Brother Kwame, we want to say that God bless you for standing firm. Use that opportunity to rather help your sister or would-be wife. Get quickly in touch with your pastor, the 2 of you. Talk to your pastor, talk to the counselors in your church. Let them help you. And if at your age 30, you think you are in the position to marry, we want to encourage you to speed up. Because if care is not taken, the pressure will be so much that you might end up, giving in. So take note of that.
Minister Fabio, do you want to add to
I think Reverend Agri, the last part of his submission was where I was going to dwell on. 30-28,
Yeah.
I think you are
What
ready
are you waiting
for marriage. So instead of waiting and letting the pressure, build up, put steps in place so that she will see that you are serious. Maybe she's also not seeing any, drive from your end, so she's beginning to listen to the friends, thinking that you are not, she doesn't really know you. Was that what she said? Yeah. That doing that will get to know you. But when you put plans in place and she knows that, okay, we've discussed marriage, we are on our way, I think she will, listen to him rather than the friends. Great.
So at 30-28, please don't wait. And I keep telling people the best time to get married is COVID-19. You don't need too many things.
No stress.
There's no stress. No reception.
That's right.
No sitting down and playing music. No going for MC.
Even your exes wouldn't have to come.
Even your exes wouldn't have to. So please, this is the right time. You sat down now, we moved to 25 to 100. So if you are in Ghana, we are 100 people now. 100 people for a wedding, it's not too expensive. Yeah. Please do it quickly so that you won't have to sin against God.
Thank you. Please do it quickly. I hope our World Movers Generation executives across the nation are hearing. We love you. Want to watch your weddings on Facebook. I have been in a relationship for 7 years, and my partner is not ready to marry me. He keeps on changing women. I'm currently in the same room with him. We have a 3-year-old daughter. Mommy, I have aborted 5 babies after we had our daughter. He doesn't respect me. He talks to me anyhow, even in the presence of our friends. He brings women into the same room when I'm not around. How do I deal with this situation?
Hey, Reverend Fabio.
This is a sad one.
Very sad one.
To find yourself in such a situation. But I think not being so hard on her, but she's also contributed to this situation. 5 abortions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When are you going to see that, okay, this is becoming too many? Is the guy's parents aware that you are cohabiting and you have a child and all this is going on? So I think she needs to, this is more than a red flag.
Yeah.
This is multiple red flags. You know.
Black flag.
Yeah. So again, you need to take a break, have a discussion, assess the situation, and there has to be some decisions that must be made. So I think it will be a good idea to also get in touch with mommy after this, because the situation you find yourself in is a dire one. So that will be my take.
Reverend Agri.
Well, from where I sit as a Reverend Minister, I will not describe what is keeping the lady in that relationship as love. I don't think it's love. It's something else. And for that reason, I would just advise her to quickly get in touch with a good pastor, or can come to Royal House Chapel and see Mama Rita or any of we, the counselors, to help. What is keeping you in that relationship with all these red flags, and you still, don't feel like moving out, but rather complaining and about the behavior of the man? It is not love. It is something else, and you need help. I think that's all out there. For the sake of the children that you have with him, for the future of the children, and perhaps for your own health and your future, you quickly have to. What is pushing you to send this message should also compel you to run quickly to the church for help. Yeah.
So, my darling, you need help. You need help. You've been in a relationship for 9 years. You have 1 child with a gentleman. You've caused 5 abortions after the first child. He doesn't respect you. He doesn't care. Get your pastor involved if you belong to a church. If you don't belong to a church, you can come to Royal House. We will help you. You need to get his parents involved and get your parents involved. I think you need to move out of this relationship. Move out. I'm not saying move out of the relationship, but first move out of his home. Move out of his room. My darling, even if your parents have kukobuo, how do you call it? Hen coop. Please go into it. Lie on the floor with your child. If the man wants marriage, he will come back for you. If you wait for a while and he doesn't come back for you, you need to move on with your life. I believe with 1 child, there's always a second chance for you. God will have mercy on you. Somebody else will handle you and treat you as an egg, as a diamond, and as gold.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Mommy. Great counsel. And this is what every Wednesday is about. The whole city, the whole nation is always ready to hear the wisdom of Mama Rita and her panel of experienced marriage counselors. We move on to the next question, which says, I'm 30 years in a relationship with a wonderful gentleman who is 30 years as well. He is a pastor. We are in the same class at the university. Mommy, I have lost previous relationships because I introduced them to some friends. My problem currently is we have not introduced ourselves to our families yet because we are just 4 months old in our relationship. Our communication is very poor. He talks too much. He has made all our mates in class know about our relationship, something I so hate. What do I do about this? I've spoken to him countless times.
Reverend Agri would answer, and then I'll come in.
So 4 months in this relationship, and she sees the gentleman, as somebody who talks too much against what she wishes to see. if he hasn't done anything, to hurt her, apart from this talking, I think she must just find time and sit down with him. Being a pastor, we expect him to at least have some amount of wisdom to listen to the woman. Let the woman know that so that the woman will know that these areas are, areas that are bothering her. And I also asked the lady to, get in touch with a senior person, perhaps the senior pastor. They should introduce themselves. But first of all, if the gentleman hasn't proposed, hasn't made his intention clear, but she feels that by virtue of the relationship that exists now is something that is directing them into marriage, she ought to be careful. She ought to be careful. So they should find time and sit down and get their intentions clear. And the lady should also talk to somebody to help. Maybe call the gentleman that this is what your would-be, if proposal has really been made, would-be husband has come to express, and we want you to be aware. I think it will be fine. But to just hasten to conclude that because he talks too much, then it's going to turn out to be like the previous ones, I think it's not the best. It's not the best, yeah.
Minister Fabio.
Yeah, the lady's concern is the guy talks too much. What we are not sure is it because he's telling other people of their relationship is what she's classifying as talk too much, or when they seek to have a conversation, he takes over the conversation and then he doesn't allow her to talk. I am thinking is the first one. And, Mommy, you spoke about stashing in one of the red flags. And this is actually the opposite. So someone who would want to introduce you to others, I think should rather be a plus for the gentleman rather than a
minus.
But she's also looking at it from other relationships she lost because of friends. So if she's identified some friends that when I introduce my man to, it becomes a problem, then maybe she needs to have a conversation with the gentleman that these group of friends, maybe I wouldn't want you to, but telling people about the relationship is even, some security for the lady.
That's right.
Because if he does that to others and they see him with another lady, then they can, and he being a pastor, I don't think it would be something he would want. So she should reconsider the whole scenario and look at it from the positive side rather than thinking she's talking too much. And again, if you're getting friends involved, and it means you are missing the hierarchy. Once the relationship has started, you need to go to, since he's a pastor, the head pastor, talk to your pastors if you don't belong to the same church. Then you move to your parents. Even at the relationship stage, they need to be aware you are hanging around with this gentleman, this lady. So I think they need to look at it from that point.
Well said, Minister Fabio and then Reverend Agri. So I think both of you have missed out on the hierarchy. 4 months is enough to introduce yourselves to the pastor, and especially the guy being a pastor. If he has a senior pastor, please introduce each other to his senior pastor. And then if you don't belong to the same church, which I presume, then you also need to introduce each other to your pastor. I think from there you can take it up from there. Take away fear. It looks like now you're a bit afraid. And if there are certain friends or certain particular friends that if you tell them about the relationship or your relationships, they tend not to work, it means that there's something about those friends. Maybe spiritually they are not correct. So what you do is you need to mark them and avoid. And then you need to tell your partner that these friends I have, anytime in the past I told them about a relationship, the relationship sort of fizzled out. So I want to be a bit quiet about these particular people. But trust me, a man that loves you a man that wants to take the relationship a step further, and a man that is proud of you will want to tell all his friends and all your friends about it. So see it in the positive. But like I'm saying, you moved from 0 to 3 or to 5 instead of moving from 0 or from nursery to 1. So first start the process. See your pastors, let them know about it, and then you will move to parents. Don't think 4 months is too short. Both of you are 30. And right after school, you should be getting ready to marry. So please start from the process, pray about it, and then start dealing with the past so that the past will not affect your future.
That's right.
Thank you very much, Mommy. Awesome, awesome. This question says, good evening, Mama. My husband asked me to leave his house after 5 years of marriage with our 3 children. My offense. He started spending almost every night outside the house in the name of prayer after our 3rd child. I, however, noticed there is this lady he hides to talk to a lot on phone. This was my suspicion. I confronted him, demanded an explanation. However, after this encounter, he rather sent me a WhatsApp message indicating that through his prayer, God wants me out of his life. And God has spoken, and nothing can change his mind. I have since been pleading and praying with him for God to change that verdict. It's been a month now. Nothing happening between me and him as a husband and wife. Mama, I'm almost losing hope and rather feel I should begin to pray for God to give me a new beginning somewhere else. Meanwhile, I still love him. I cannot forget the vow I made on our wedding day. Our children are also involved here. Mama, please, I need your help.
Did he say he was married? She was married to a pastor?
No,
Oh, okay.
But they are married.
They are married, Reverend Agri.
Married for
5 years,
5 years.
3 children,
Yes.
and now the voice of God.
It's amazing how the husband is saying he has prayed and has heard from God that the woman should move out of there. So now, describing God as the cause of the divorce, I mean, if there should be divorce at all, God will never in any way ask you to divorce your wife.
I like that.
Yes. God, in all our weaknesses, will always let us know that he loves us and is ready to help us. The weaknesses in the marriage, the mistakes in the marriage, that is why he says, I will be with you. So the gentleman, I want to say that the gentleman is just speaking from his mind. He should not compound his problems by saying things that God has not, told him. What I want to say to the woman is, I'm not too sure whether she has made any effort to see any counselor. If she belongs to a church, she has seen any part of the church pastors, or because situation like this, it really requires somebody higher to intervene and call the husband. At this stage, the husband, it looks to me, he doesn't even know what he's about, what he's doing. He doesn't know. For you to leave your marital home, stay outside, leave your wife and your kids, and then you come back after some time to say that God, I have prayed, and God has said it's something else. And the two of them need counseling. The two of them need counseling. The woman, if the man is not willing to see any senior person, I will encourage the lady to run quickly, speak to any pastor, good, if she belongs to a church, any church, or a marriage counselor. If you don't belong to any church, like Mama Rita will always say, she's always available here. We are all around. Come and let us listen to the details of what at all started the whole thing. Some of these things may have underlying issues that I'm not too sure you will be able to put all on the WhatsApp message. But meeting you one-on-one, we may gather more information to help the two of you.
Do you want to come in?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think Reverend Agri has said much, but from the text, she indicated she wants to turn to prayer and see if God will bring a new start.
Yeah.
Praying you must, but the direction of the prayer is where I want you to rather channel the prayer for God to intervene. We are not ruling out the spiritual. Since, like Reverend Agri said, he doesn't know what he's about. So let's put in prayer. Aside prayer, sometimes when things are happening this way, you tend to, because of what is going on, also fight fire with fire. But I would rather, let's look at, what you are doing, your duties, and reinforce them. So respecting him. This is the time that, even though he's not being the husband that you expect him to be with all that, this is the time where you have to let your duties, respect, cooking, doing everything that you have to do. With prayer, I'm sure he will come back to his senses and realize that, okay, this is what I have, and this is probably what I'm allowing, another woman or the devil, to steal from me. But yes, you need help. Seek a counselor, a pastor, and our arms are open. Royal House, you can come and then.
So 1 month is too early to give up. 1 month is too early to start praying for a new relationship. I think you need to channel that energy into praying that this relationship would work. And like Reverend Agri said, there's no God anyway that will speak to your husband for him to divorce you. For all we know, there's another lady that has come in, and that lady is shifting his attention and all that. Please don't give up. Continue to pray. Continue that God will break his stony heart down. Continue to pray that God will change his heart. And then whilst you are praying, you could also talk to your pastor or your counselor. And then, like Minister Fabio Wilson said, most often when it gets to this stage, the women stop doing what they are supposed to do. Please don't stop. Please don't stop. Don't give up. Continue to cook. Continue to tidy up the home. Continue to be a good mother. Continue to be a good wife. Continue to be submissive. Do what you have to do. I believe that if you are doing what you have to do and you are also praying, trust me, God will come through for you. Yes. We've heard so many testimonies of women who went through what you are going through. They never gave up. They never been the wives they had to be. All they did was they went on their knees, they prayed, they called for their marriages, they called forth the hearts and the minds of their husbands wherever it's been sent to. And he came back to them. The men became better than they even used to be. The men came back with apologies and with parcels and renewal of wedding vows and all that. So please don't give up. I am sure that you will call us with a testimony. Amen. And if you are listening and you are watching us, we like it when you share problems with us. That is why we are here. Yeah. Without your problems, we won't be paid by the Apostle General. but then when you also have testimonies, we want you to call us and then share your testimonies with us.
That's right.
Mommy, I think awesome. She actually sends a follow-up message. I don't know if you want. She says, he told me that he had vowed some 5 months ago, when I was in my 7th week of my 3rd pregnancy, to the Holy Spirit, that he will never sleep with me again, because the Spirit says 3 children are okay for us. I realized that alone was not enough reason. I realized that alone was not enough reason not to sleep with me again. So I started spying on him, her own words, and I got to realize that there is another lady in the picture whom he spends the night with. So I followed one night. I carried my baby with me to the field where he often goes to pray. Okay. And I met him truly with this other lady at 2 a.m. dawn on the field. Okay. That has been it. He said, for checking up on him, I've broken his trust and that of the spirit. So I have to go. Well,
so obviously, if it's a prayer indeed that he's been engaging in, why will you not go with your wife?
Exactly.
You know, to be a family and a collective thing, you know, before the good Lord. So, I mean, the woman should certainly know that there are voices.
Yeah.
And perhaps the husband is hearing voices apart from the true voice that must be heard from God. So, as we have said, she should take it as a matter of urgency to seek help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are not changing what we said from the beginning. Yeah. It's the same things. Don't give up. Continue to pray. Reverend Agri says he's hearing voices. That God says he should divorce you. That the Holy Ghost said after 3 children he shouldn't have sex again. He's hearing voices.
Strange voices.
Strange voices. So you take up your role and your mantle as a wife. My darling, you have a mantle. God is behind you. The whole of heaven is behind you. If you pray, unless you don't love him again, but according to what you said, you still love him.
Yes.
So by that love and by that vow, go before the Lord and claim your marriage back.
Our sister, if it's got to do with prayer, then you and I know that Friday is the right place for you to be. Join this same channel, join this same network, join this same platform. The Apostle General will be coming to you with Friday miracle service, prayer, testimonies, and all issues you have are going to be dealt with. So that's the right location for you to be.
And Pastor Chifape,
yes, Mommy.
So many people are receiving miracles and testimonies as a result of, tuning in live with us. And it's powerful.
That's right.
The prayers going on in families and in certain quarters, I'm telling you, it's breaking chains. So if you haven't started, don't just be with us on Wednesday for family life. On Friday, be with us with Apostle General himself for miracle service. Miracles are happening.
Miracles are happening. And Mommy, one of the other testimonies and impact of our program is about 3 weeks ago, somebody from Ashaman called that she's been following and she's falling in love. They are preparing to get into marriage and they want to join Royal House Chapel. Wow. They were directed to the Michelle Camp, and last Sunday they were in service at our Michelle Camp branch. Wow. So Judith and the husband to celebrate with you. And amen. If you are there and you want to join this fold, please call the line, send us a message, and we'll definitely attend to you. Amen. Well, we'll take 2 more questions.
Yeah.
This one says, I am Vignon. I love this program. I'm learning a lot in marriage. Thank you. He's sending from Cameroon, the northern part.
Wow.
My husband-to-be wants us to stay in the family house for a year to aid us save enough money to put up 2 rooms for ourselves on a plot of land that he has. This, he says, means we may not be paying bills as long as we are staying there. I am not in support of this. Please, how do I talk to him about it? Is it even advisable? Kindly advise me.
Minister Fabio Wilson.
Yes. So when we look at the scripture that we mostly refer to, the Bible says, "Therefore shall a man leave his parents and cleave to his wife." What we advise is, once you're getting married, especially the first year, is the teething stage of the marriage, which will require a lot of, friction, you're getting to know each other, and it's best you do it in a place where both of you can have some privacy and not a lot of interference. Not only do we advise the physical living, but we also look at some other aspects of living, social, psychological, and to do that still in the family house is a challenge. It is not impossible, but usually with a lot of what we have witnessed, it is very difficult to be able to have that bonding that is needed, especially in the early parts of the marriage. So we advise that, you move. But he is making, a case for saving in terms of rent. You don't have to move into a 3-4 bedroom. You can start small and still make the savings. I believe that the amount of money that you would spend for that 1 year and the peace of mind and the stability you're going to have, the foundation you're going to build for that 1 year is worth moving and then starting, the marriage on a very good foundation. So I would say that he is the one you need to convince. Speak to a counselor, get somebody involved to get him to understand, so that it doesn't become like you are pushing a certain agenda, probably because you don't want to be with his family or you don't see, eye to eye with some of the family members. But you have a very good reason for what you are asking for. You have to let him see the point of view you are looking at it from. And I'm sure with prayer, you'll be able to get him to move along.
Reverend Agri.
Oh, yeah, okay. So
of late, we've been handling a lot of issues
right.
on that.
That's right. The beginning of the marriage requires a lot, as Minister has just said. The beginning is where the real adjustment takes place. The man will have to adjust, the lady will also have to adjust, and the two of them will have to begin the journey, with that kind of friction and adjustment here and there. Certainly, privacy will be required for the two of them to work things out well and be happy. It's also not out of place to, think in that direction. The man looks, from what he's saying, like it looks like, well, he has some good vision. He wants a good permanent place for the two of them. That's fine. As to who they are going to live with in the parental home, that is the important thing now. Because to live with your in-laws requires a lot of wisdom and a lot of, work. You are sending the lady into your parental home. Is your mother there? Is your father there? Are there siblings and all that? If these people are there and going to live with you in the home, then the lady needs to be helped to understand a lot of things. And then the 1 year that he's claiming, is he very sure that 1 year he would have completed the house? That's also another thing, because if it turns out to be more than 1 year, 2, 3, 4, and they are still there, and then the wife becomes like, house, cook in the house for everybody. Siblings are asking her to cook and all that. Certainly it will affect funerals. It will affect the marriage and will affect even the young man himself. So the two of them, just as Minister said, they need to seek help and be very sure. He should not be too excited that there's a free accommodation for the two of them. Two of them to live in, with their parents and all that. He has to be careful. You are sending somebody's daughter into that home, and a lot of things, have to be, looked at. So maturity is needed. Taking good care. Taking look at the various steps that will enable them live in that house with their parents. All are very important, and I think that's what. So they need to talk to I think this time, not the parents. They can talk to their counselors if they went through counseling and let them be helped.
Okay. We've been handling a lot of issues and cases of late about these things. The truth, the best. Listen, I said the best is when you get married, move out of your parents' home. Like Minister Fabio Wilson is saying. The truth is that the first year of the marriage, remember that both of you are coming from different backgrounds. And you don't know each other as well as you think until you get together. In the first year of marriage, when you are now getting to know each other, number one. Number two, you are getting to work on each other. It is best to be on your own. Number one, so you get to know each other very well. Number two, that you work on each other very well. Assuming there's an issue with the lady because of her background, because of where she's coming from, because of her tribe. I mean, you'd work on her before finally you present her to your parents. By the time your parents see her, she's so polished. By the time your parents see him, he's so polished. Everybody has a bat. The bat in my home might not be a bat.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying? For instance, from the training I had from my mom, my siblings and I have never ate from the same bowl before. Never. We've never eaten from the same bowl.
That's right.
My mother believed that everybody must have their own cutlery, must have their own cup, must have their own plate, must have their own towels. I mean, that is what my mother believed in. Why? Because she thinks that if one person got a cough, or one person got a cold, or one person got anything, other people might not have it. That is the training I had. Can you imagine if I got married to a man whose family believes that everybody shares the same cup, everybody shares the same plate, everybody shares the same cutlery, everybody shares the same towel?
Mommy, sometimes it's not belief, it is necessity. It is one cup.
Yes. So then what I'm saying is, if you go into such a marriage and in such an environment, and this is what you are used to, and then you go and the whole family is using the same,
That's right.
and you are not used to. I mean, in quote, they will say,
Compost.
your wife feels bigger than us. Your wife doesn't want to have anything to do with us. Number two, assuming you are married to a woman or a husband who is naturally very shy.
That's right.
I remember when Reverend Nandi Amano joined Royal House Chapel and then joined Royal Ladies, and then I made her an executive member. Other people have the problem because she's not the person that talks. She's all by herself.
That's right.
It took a while for her to get used to and accustomed to the people around her. Can you imagine if when Reverend Darkett got married to her, they immediately moved to a family house? They would say, hey. So the truth is that for the first year or the first few years in marriage, don't compromise on that. If you can be on your own, please be on your own. If there's anything the family can do for you and they can help you with accommodation, praise God. But then listen carefully to me. You are also asking that both of you must move to your own place, which we underline that is the perfect thing to do. I mean, that is the best thing to do. But if for any reason both of you don't have money for accommodation, and in your family house, in other words, in your husband's house, there's free accommodation, what do you do? But then if you can put monies together, the two of you can put monies together, and you can even hire one room like my husband and I did. Trust me, that is the best. My husband and I went into a room I call a kitchenette, Reverend Agri. It was a small room, I mean a very, very small room. But for 1 year, we were there for a year. For the year we put ourselves together, we got to know each other very well, we bonded better, and there was so much unity among us. It got to a time that we couldn't keep up with the accommodation. So we had to move to my parents' home. But by the time we moved to my parents' home, we have made all our mistakes. We had known each other very well. We could speak one language. We could stand with each other and all that. So the truth, like Minister Fabio Wilson said, for the first year in marriage, if you can be together on your own, trust me, that is the best. So now what do you do, my dear lady, in trying to convince your partner? Do you have money anywhere? Because if you don't have the money and he doesn't also have the money, then in effect you are not being real. But we need to be realistic. Let him bring money, you to bring money, do a less expensive wedding, and then channel your resources into accommodation. And like I said, even if it's one room somewhere where you can have your peace of mind and you can unite, you can work out your differences, then afterwards, if everything goes well and you are okay and you still can't afford accommodation, you know, so if anybody asks you, what do you want for a wedding present? Instead of saying buffet, and that is what a lot of the young ones are doing.
That's right.
Oh, what do you want for your wedding? How can I help you for your wedding? I want a buffet.
Pre-wedding photo shoot.
Wedding photo shoot. Meanwhile, you don't know where you are staying.
That's right.
You don't know where you'll be staying after the wedding. Why would you do that? Photo shoot. 20 bridesmaids when nobody is helping you. If you have family members who are helping you and there's a house as a wedding present and there's accommodation somewhere, why not? But what we are saying is, if for any reason both of you can raise that money, families can help you raise the money, and you have to move, that's fine. But I think with me, I won't want to compromise on that. Move first year, be on your own, grow up together. Assuming you are moving into a home, the man's home, where Reverend Agri, everybody is a good cook, and you don't know how to cook.
That's right.
And you are moving into such a home, you are in trouble. You don't know how to wash the dishes. You don't know how to wash the dishes. You don't know how to sweep. And they expect you to wake up at 4 a.m. to sweep. You'll be in trouble. So my darling, both of you, don't put yourselves into trouble. Move out, work out your relationship very well, and then you can do whatever you want after the first year or two in the marriage.
So this one, have they married already?
They are yet to marry.
They are yet to marry.
But the man is saying, let's move into my parents' home.
Mommy, I think these listeners, would-be couples, must take a lot of lessons from this. A lot of people spend so much preparing for the wedding, putting all their efforts and all that. These days, we have even come to realize that preparation towards wedding lasts longer than some marriages. You know,
please say it again.
Preparation towards the wedding, in some cases, lasts longer than the marriage. So they take so long, you know, in preparing and putting so much resources left, right, to get the wedding done. Soon after that, then they are heading towards the divorce court. So I think Mommy is giving a lot of lessons here, and would-be couples must learn and learn very well.
They should cut their coats.
Cut your coats according to your size. The wedding is just an event. It comes on a day and it's over. All those who will come and dance and all that, after that, they will leave you to face your wealth. So wisdom must now help you here. Listen to some of us who made mistakes and have, by the grace of God, have survived and are now trying to let you know so that you don't repeat them. It will help you. It will help you. And lower the rate at which you are preparing for the wedding. Mommy, some people will come to me. Recently, a couple came to me, would-be couple. They were asking me to help them with a loan. What for? They had paid for the venue.
Can you imagine? They have paid for what?
They paid for the venue where they will have their refreshment. Half of it, and they wanted half. So the half alone, I asked how much? 5,000.
Can you imagine?
This is foolishness. You understand?
No,
you are starting life.
It's the venue.
So quickly, I asked them to bring their counselor. In Royal House Chapel, we have, and this particular area, they hid it from their counselor. So the counselor, we couldn't hold him responsible. They hid it from the counselor. According to the counselor, he knew they were going to have the refreshment here. That's the impression they gave the counselor. Why will you hide and go and spend 10,000 just for venue? So this is it. And would-be couples, we want to plead with you that listen to us. These days, information is so available, knowledge. For lack of knowledge, my people perish. We don't want you to perish. That's why Mommy is doing these things. Perishing, not like dying physically, but your marriage will dwindle and you will not enjoy the marriage. That's exactly what we are pleading that you avoid. Don't spend so long and so much preparing for the wedding without getting yourselves ready for the real institution that God is looking at.
I like that.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, Mommy.
Let me come in again.
Sure.
Since I don't mind if this one will be our last.
Our last, yes.
And then the next question, we will do it next week.
Subsequent, yeah.
My darling, don't do what everybody is doing. People are taking bridesmaids, 10. So you also want to take 10 by all means. For all you know, aunties are helping, uncles are helping, parents are helping, siblings are helping. There are friends overseas who are sending money. If you don't have the money and somebody is your size who had a wedding 2 weeks ago or a month ago or 3 months ago, go for the dress and wear the same. You don't need to sew a wedding dress by all means when you don't have it. You don't need to have the buffet by all means if you don't have it. You don't need to have cocktail by all means if you don't have it. My darling, you can be the first that at your wedding you are serving wele, and that is it.
That's it.
And then Reverend Agri, and then Minister Fabio Wilson. I want us to go back to one last thing. The lady who said the husband doesn't want to sleep with her and wants to come out of the relationship and all that. These days, with some of the issues I'm handling, they've been married, they have 3 children, sometimes they have 4 children, sometimes they even have 5 children. But after all these ones, the men become impotent. Unfortunately, the men are not able to open up to the women to tell them this is what
That's right.
I'm going through and this is what I'm facing. So they come up with so many excuses. And God says, and God says, and because after the 3, I mean, we've handled, you know it. We've handled so many of such issues. So my darling, sometimes it's not just because there's another woman there. For all you know, the woman might truly be a praying partner. That is what we are not saying. That is 100% correct. But what I'm saying is that sometimes the men are off road and they can't talk about it. Men, please listen to me. There is medication now. There are people I have shown medication and it's working. Even if the medication, you take the medication and you are not rising up, there are other means of having enjoyment in the relationship. Please, if for any reason you have an issue, I keep telling people, Reverend Agri and I will tell you, we've had so many cases that nothing is strange to us anymore. I mean, we've had so many cases. Nothing is strange. So don't ever be shy or ashamed to come and tell us what you are going through. Don't be afraid. Don't ever think that you are worrying us. When people call me and they say, oh, Mama Rita, oh, I'm sorry I'm worrying you, I tell them, please, if you don't worry me, I won't receive salary.
I like that.
I am being paid for you worrying me.
That's right.
So please, we are pleading with you. If you have issues, please call us and then let us know. We are here to help you. We are here to solve your issues. We are here to pray with you. We are here to stand with you until God comes through for you. On that note, Reverend Agre and Reverend Fabio Wilson will bring their parting words, and then we'll end another edition of Family Life with Mama Rita.
Okay, so I want to touch on the discussion or the topic that you talked about today. One of the things that may also lead to the courtship not going the full period is medical compatibility. Right. And I would want to say that once you start, there's the relationship stage and then there's the courtship stage. So don't get too far before you check if medically you are compatible. Otherwise, you get ahead and you realize that this will not lead to marriage, and that will be a painful point to separate. So let's also check medically if we are compatible before we move on with the relationship.
God bless you.
So would-be couples and married people, what I want to say is that whatever issues you are finding yourselves in in your marriage, I want you to know that God is still interested in them, because He is God when He solves those issues for you and brings you solutions. Your weaknesses and your spouse's weaknesses, God is interested in them. Don't fight. Come and hand them over to God. Talk to your pastors, talk to the counselors, because the marriage, I always say this, that the marriage is a perfect institution. God didn't create the marriage and put mistakes and problems in the marriage. The problems you are seeing in the marriages are problems that you yourself carried into the marriage. The institution is perfect. So your weaknesses that you have gone into the marriage institution with, God is willing to take them and strengthen you and give you His joy and His peace so that you will enjoy the perfect institution. Don't fight, don't divorce, don't break up. Come, we are there to help you, pray with you and guide you and counsel you so that you will enjoy your marriage, and you and your spouse and your children will bring glory to God.
And then for to be married couples, that maybe the fiancé, the woman, thinks that, oh, let's try it before the marriage. I think sometimes it is fear of the unknown. What if I marry and the man is impotent? My darling, we have handled cases where before the marriage and before the wedding, the men were able to come to us to tell us, oh, they are not fully impotent, but the thing is half-half.
65%.
65%. And we've been able to help them. We help them spiritually, and we help them medically. I'm telling you, we have doctors here from everything. We have doctors in Royal House Chapel for coronavirus, for non-performance, for everything. So if you are in courtship with a lady, and for any reason you think that the thing is not functioning very well, it's 50%, 40%, 65%, please come to us. Sometimes it's just infection. Sometimes it's something very small. Sometimes it's the kind of underwear you are wearing. If you let us know, we will be able to help you. On that note, we want to draw the curtain on another week of family life with Mama Rita. I hope you have enjoyed us. I will come your way same time, same day, next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. But until then, every Saturday, I have a program on IG, Mama Rita on Instagram at 7 p.m. Those of you who are not listening, you are missing a lot. I've been handling coronavirus and the medications to do and all that. Last week, Saturday, I did exercises during coronavirus. Exercises that you can do to build your immune system. Make a date with me on Saturday, IG with Mama Rita at 7 p.m. And then make a date with Apostle General coming Friday, miracle service. Last week, somebody sent me a message and said, oh, Mama Rita, the prayer was so hot and I can feel it in my room. If you are having issues in your relationship, trust me, the answer is prayer. Make a date with Apostle General on the same channel, Powerline TV, Apostle General on Facebook, and then Apostle General on YouTube. And then on Sundays at 9 a.m., powerful sermons. I thought I had listened to powerful sermons of my husband, but now it's getting something else. Yes, I think the anointing of age 60 is something else. Because of it, Reverend Agri, I can't wait to be 60. I'll come your way again, same time. Next week, we are looking at celebrations in relationships.
Amen.
Celebrations in relationships. Birthdays, Christmas, Valentine, etc. How should couples celebrate these occasions? Or should people who are courting celebrate these occasions? I will come your way next week again at the studio, panel discussions, powerful with another seasoned couple. Thank you. God bless you. I will see you again. I love you.
Amen.
There was contention in Israel as to which God is God. There is a certain Jezebel who had brought a foreign god called Baal. And Baal had so many prophets and they were worshiping him with passion and intensity. And then there was this prophet called Elijah who was also propagating the name of a certain God of Israel. And nobody was listening to him. Then he said, listen, I am tired of this situation. Today we have to settle the matter. Which God is God? He said, let's meet on Mount Carmel. Let's build 2 altars and then kill a bull and put it on the altar. And then let the God who responds to prayer by fire, let him be God. Then they leaped about the altar which they had made. They jumped, they danced, they involved. And so it was at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, cry aloud, for he is also a God. Cry. Maybe he's meditating. Maybe he's talking to somebody. Or he's too busy. I don't know what he's busy over. But I have another God. However busy he is, when he's going and then I shout, Jesus, son of David, he stops and he says, who is calling me? However Kayabo Shanderia. Why would you put your trust in a God who can be busy with one person at a time? Call him. Maybe he's on a journey. Your God has traveled. And a God who does not answer prayer is on a journey. But my God can travel to the earth for 33 years, and yet the heavens and the earth were still held together. Even though he left his kingdom above and he came on this earth as a man for 33 years, heaven didn't pass away, earth didn't pass away. He was on a journey, but the stars and the skies and the moon and everything were held together. That is the God that I serve. That is the Jehovah Sabaoth that I am introducing you to. Come on. Who is your God?